now call the Carroll County Board of Commissioners meeting for September 6, 2022 to order. Could we have roll call, please?
Chairman Morgan.
Here.
Vice Chairman McClendon.
Here.
Commissioner Chance.
Here.
Commissioner Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Fuller.
Here.
Commissioner Reynolds.
Here.
Commissioner Chambers.
Here.
Great, thank you. I'm now going to call Jody Goodman with Carroll County Mental Health to lead us in our invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for your many blessings and your continued grace. Thank you for each citizen that is gathered in this room tonight. I ask you that you be with each of our leaders as they work together for the greater good of our community, and that you may be at the foundation of each and every decision that they make. I ask that you be with our first responders, not only tonight, but every day as they serve to protect our citizens. Thank you, dear Lord, for this opportunity to serve you as we gather. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion made.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Motion passes 7-0.
I'll also look for a motion and a second to approve the minutes from our work session minutes, July 28th, Board of Commissioners special call meeting, July 28th, and the Board of Commissioners executive session meeting minutes, July 28th, and the Board of Commission meeting minutes from August the 2nd, and our another special call meeting from August the 18th.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Motion passes 7-0.
At this time, we'll move into public comments. Public comments are an opportunity for the public to address the Commission with any issues or concerns they may have. All remarks should be directed to the chairman and not to individual commissioners or citizens in attendance. Members of the public shall not make inappropriate or offensive comments. Any individual who violates the rules of decorum may be removed from the meeting. At this time, the board will not comment, nor will the board take any action on the comments. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. There was a sign-up sheet in back. I'll call these, and then if there's any further that would like to speak, I'll give time for that too. So first on my list is a Kenneth Mack Smith. Okay, great.
I'm a bit nervous. Kind of with me. Madam Chairman, I would like to speak to you about the road maintenance on Barber Road. My name is Kenneth Mack Smith. I've lived on Barber Road since 1984. And the 3 concerns that I have that I would like for the county commission to address. Number 1 is that on the first 100 yards of the road is the biggest problem that we have. On this road, there is 17 residents, 1 business, and 2 school buses that uses this road every day. And in front of the first house, as you go on the Barber Road, across the road from it, there's a low area on the edge of the road, and it stands for water. And the last time I talked to Mr. Fuller and the county commissioner, they made a big effort to fix it. They came close, but they didn't quite make it. And this time when it rained, water was halfway across the road. And when you drive through water that's on the road, you not only splash the water out, but you do the gravel also. So it just makes it a whole lot worse than what it was. And this causes a pothole problem because the water standing there causes traffic both ways to drive in one area, which causes big potholes. And when the motor graders come out and grade the road, they don't go below the bottom of the potholes. They just fill it with loose gravel. When it rains, it gets water back in there, and when you drive across it, just like the water on the side of the road, it just splashes water and the dirt out. I've talked to them about it, but they still won't do it. Now, the last time they came out and worked on the road, they just about fixed the water and the problem. this road has got a real good gravel base on it, and the county's done a good job with it. But the main concern that I have is, with as many residents as we have on this road, that road is on a per call basis. They will not come out and do anything to it until somebody calls and asks them to come do it. You know, it hasn't always been this way. The last few years it has gotten to be that way. I would like for this road to be put on a permanent maintenance basis to where they come out there and work on it occasionally. That's it. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you. Kelly Height? There she is.
Hi, my name is Kelly Height, and I live at 609 Spring Street in Villa Rica, Georgia. My passion is animals. I'm here concerning Carroll County Animal Control. As most of you do not know, Carroll County Animal Control has been running at Code Red since January of 2022 and before. The growth of the community in which I live in is estimated to be about 6,000 new homes in the next 5 years. According to Animal Control, 40% of their intake comes from the Villa Rica area. That being said, if you get the average, back in 1970, out of every 3 homes, 1 home had an animal. In the 1990s, 3 out of every 3 homes have an animal. If you get 3,000 new animals and you stick to your 10% no-kill, you're going to kill 300 dogs. If you kill 300 dogs, it's going to offset the rescue community. Animal control has been running at overload. We need a community action between the communities, the commissioners, the people, employees to get adoption events out to move these animals. Along with the overload, I've asked for more accountability on the fines and the fees. If you hold people accountable, eventually they're going to realize that we're not going to tolerate any kind of neglect on our animals. The animal control kind of gets put on the back burner on a lot of things, out of sight, out of mind. Nobody seems to know. I've talked with several different people. I've tried to communicate with the Carroll County Humane Society, which I've had no luck in communication with them. I am going to try to attend one of their board meetings to see if there is some help. I'm looking to get spay and neuter logs for all dogs over 35 pounds and all short-haired domestic cats. This is what floods your shelters in rural areas, or unspayed and unneutered animals. Overpopulation is becoming an issue. I have over 60 cats behind my building in downtown Villa Rica, which produce health hazards. These cats tested HIV positive, which means they are spreading them to other animals that they are mating and eating with. In order to do this, we would need to start spay and neuter clinics immediately. I would like for the board to consider passing a spay and neuter ordinance. If we run out of puppies, trust me, there are puppies all over the state that can be adopted. I would like to be first in this movement, and I would also like the board to consider more promotions for the county adoption events. We have one coming up in Villa Rica on the 10th. I would like more accessibility to social media, to newspapers, to radio stations. I would like to know exactly what the Humane Society does. According to Animal Control, they help with 6 dogs per year. That's very little. That's less than their 10%. If the county had to kill 10% of what they have housed right now, they would kill over 60 animals. That is unacceptable. In light of everything that's happened in Heard County in the past few weeks, I would like for registration laws and licensings to obtain breeder. We already have a 1-litter breeding law on the state books. We also have a rabies vaccination requirement on the states that can be used to enforce these laws. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Kevin Hemphill?
Hi, everyone. Good evening, Commissioners. Kevin Hemphill, 230 Bethlehem Church Road, Carrollton. Some of you may know me or know my name as the county's non-public representative at the Three Rivers Commission, and I thank you for that appointment. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. However, today I come to you as just a regular Carroll County citizen with concerns about speeding on my road. My road is rated for 40 miles an hour. That's a 40-mile-per-hour speed limit. However, while I don't have a radar gun, I can guarantee you people are going probably 50, 60, probably sometimes 70 miles an hour down my road. It's a cutoff to Hog Liver Road area. It's just, what's concerning to me is the fact that this is concerning to me for several reasons, especially with the straightaway that's in front of my house. Because number one, we're seeing a lot of young families move into the area with young kids that I've seen run out into the roadway. Number two is the fact that myself and my neighbors have to cross our road to get our mail. And sometimes people are going too fast to even see that we are crossing the road to get our mail. And I can guarantee you that this is happening because in the 7 years that I've lived there, my mailbox has been hit 4 times, with the last time being this last weekend. I've measured, my mailbox is the same distance from the road as everyone else's. In fact, the second time I had to put it back up, I put it back up another foot or two back from the road, it still got hit. And the third reason why I'm concerned about this is because I'm seeing an increase in number of animals, number of pets that are roaming around in our neighborhood, anywhere from pit bulls to huskies to cats, that I'm afraid are just going to get hit, or multiple of them are going to get hit. I've rarely seen a sheriff's officer come down my road to check it. I've had conversations with Commissioner Morgan about this in the past, and we tried putting up one of the speed monitors and things like that. And we tried talking with the Postal Service about having mailboxes being able to move to the other side of the road, which I'm not sure why it can't be done, because the mailman turns around in the neighborhood below us and comes right back up the road again on their route. So just a lot of concerns about that, and just would like to see, I know you can't take any action, you can't make any comments about that tonight, but would like to maybe see even just a little bit more of the sheriff's office presence down our road, just to make sure that people are kind of following and being mindful of what's going on the road.
Thank you, Kevin. Those are the 3 names I had that were signed up in the back. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak during the public comment time? I'll ask a second time. Is there anyone here that would like to speak during the public comments? Okay, we'll seeing and hearing none. We'll move on to our special presentations. The first one we have is for UWG Day Proclamation. Whereas the University of West Georgia, UWG, and Carroll County share a commitment to community building and placemaking to create mutually beneficial opportunities for its citizenry, and whereas UWG and Carroll County work hand in hand to nurture a positive university environment, and whereas UWG and Carroll County are committed to nurturing a positive and collaborative relationship with one another, and whereas UWG and Carroll County collaborate to promote programs and events that benefit the West Georgia community, and whereas UWG and Carroll County have collaborated on several key development projects, and whereas UWG provides an integral economic impact to the West Georgia community, total contributing more than $626.7 million. Let me say that again, $626.7 million to the region's economy during the state's 2021 fiscal year. It's just 1 year. And whereas UWG students participate in jobs and internships with many Carroll County businesses and provide a pool of student talent for our local community, and whereas UWG participates in key partnerships with county businesses including Southwire, Tanner, System, and SMI, now therefore I, Michelle Morgan, Chairman of the Carroll County Board of Commissioners, hereby officially recognize the 22nd of October, 2022 as UWG Day. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Carroll County, Georgia, to be affixed to this proclamation on the 6th day of September, 2022. Congratulations, Dr. Kelly and guests. Would y'all like to come forward? Gentlemen, we'll do a picture. Yes, but Dr. Kelly's going to make an address right in a moment.
Brief address. One, I would come to you both with gratitude and opportunity. I will start with gratitude. Thank you. Thank you for having these chambers decorated in recognition to a university that's occupied this space for well over 100 years. Thank you for recognizing UWG with a day that we can dedicate to a celebration of this institution and the tens of thousands of people who have made it part of their life. And finally, I'd say thank you for making certain that when school started 3 weeks ago and college was back again in Carrollton, Georgia, and I will tell you, I didn't know if college was going to come back again after the pandemic because everybody became so disengaged that all of the magic of those experiences seemed to walk away. But the minute this class came back, it restored my faith in what we are trying to do in creating the underpinnings for people's lives in the first place. The partnership that this county provides, making certain that this is a great place for a university to exist. And these chambers and Madam Chair's address celebrate that as well as any community that I've seen. This is a great place to be a university town. It is a great place to have a university with the type of partnership that you all have provided. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for this celebration. And thank you for celebrating A Day. It is the 40th anniversary of this community investing in the students of the University of West Georgia. That campaign ends on October 20th and will be celebrated on the 22nd for UWG Day. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Next, we have a Recovery Month proclamation. It's recognizing those recovering from mental health disorders, substance abuse, and addictions. Whereas behavioral health is an essential part of health and one's overall wellness, and whereas recovery from alcohol and other drug use occurs every day through a variety of recovery support resources and treatment programs, and whereas there is evidence to show that mental and substance abuse disorders can be prevented, that treatment is effective, and that people recover across Georgia and around the country. And whereas millions of people across the United States are in a long-term recovery, living happy, healthy, and productive lives, and whereas the 2022 Recovery Month theme, Recovery is for everyone, every person, every family, every community, reminds people in recovery that those who support them that no one is alone in the journey through recovery. Everyone's journey is different, but we're all in this together. And whereas education about recovery and addiction is essential to combating the stigma and discrimination faced by people in recovery, is needed by all Georgians, including public health and safety officials, the workforce, older adults, families, and whereas to help more people achieve and sustain long-term recovery, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, Alcohol and Drug Abuse Certification Board of Georgia, the Association of Community Service Boards, the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, the Georgia Addiction Counselors Association, the Georgia Association of Recovery Residencies, and the Georgia Council on Substance Abuse invite all residents of the state of Georgia to participate in National Recovery Month. Now, therefore, I, Michelle Morgan, Chairman of the Carroll County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2022 as National Recovery Month in Carroll County, Georgia, and call upon our citizens to observe this month by participating in programs, activities, and ceremonies to support this year's Recovery Month theme. Recovery is for everyone, every person, every family, and every community. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Carroll County, Georgia, to be affixed to this proclamation on the 6th day of September 2022. And Jody, I believe you have some guests here to receive the proclamation, and do you want to tell us a little bit about the recovery spot, or let Ben do it for us? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Hey, thank you everyone. Ben Lambert. I'm Vice Chair of the Recovery Spot of West Georgia, and don't have a speech planned, and definitely hard to follow up Dr. Brendan Kelly, so appreciate that. But no, we're very grateful and appreciative. What the RCO is the Recovery Spot of West Georgia is a place for people to go that are suffering from either mental health issues or substance abuse, somewhere for them to go to get resources on, what can you do about this? What's the next steps? And then, if someone does go away for treatment or what have you, it'll be a place for people afterwards to also work on their recovery. So it's going to be a big staple for the community, and we're one of, I think, the first one in the county, I believe.
45 in Georgia.
And the 45th in Georgia. So we're very excited for that and very appreciative. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, this time we'll do a picture.
Oh, Commissioner. More.
Okay, we have another one. Such an exciting month for us. This is for the Southeastern Textile and Quilt Museum celebrating their 10th anniversary. It's an exciting month to have all these wonderful, happy things going and then leading into October. Whereas in 1998, members of the Georgia Quilt Project and the Georgia Quilt Council planned and advocated for the creation of a quilt and textile museum in the Southeast. And whereas in 2009, the Georgia Quilt Council formally selected Carrollton, Georgia as the home of what would become the Southeastern Quilt and Textile Museum. And whereas the newly formed and combined committee, Friends of the Quilt Museum, Jane Kingsley, Beverly Hammock, Sandy Gowing, Marilyn Osterkamp, met with the late Commissioner Bill Chappell, who allowed the Southeastern Quilt and Textile Museum the use of a remodeled portion of a former cotton warehouse at 306 Bradley Street, Suite C in the historic downtown Carrollton, Georgia. And whereas on September 15, 2012, the Southeastern Quilt and Textile Museum enthusiastically opened its doors to the public. And whereas the mission of the Southeastern Quilt and Textile Museum is to recognize and celebrate our regional and local heritage and influences by highlighting textile production and history. And whereas the Southeastern Quilt and Textile Museum strives to preserve the art and craft of quilting with museum quality archiving and conservation, and to recognize and celebrate current quilting by displaying exhibits on exquisite hand quilting, machine applique to art quilts, and to modern interpretation of old patterns. And whereas the Southeastern Quilt and Textile Museum invests in the community by teaching the art and craft of quilting, by offering beginners, intermediate, and advanced classes, and holding a kids camp where each student has an individual mentor. Now therefore I, Michelle Morgan, Chairman of the Carroll County Board of Commissioners, do hereby congratulate and honor the Southeastern Quilt and Textile Museum on its 10th anniversary in Carroll County, Georgia, and wish them many more successful years in our county. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Carroll County, Georgia, to be affixed to this proclamation on the 6th day of September, 2022. Congratulations, ladies. You'll come forward.
Commissioners, thank you so much. You have been supporting us by letting us use this little portion of the old cotton warehouse, and we are extremely grateful. We would not exist if you had not been able to help us that way, and we appreciate it. We're averaging over 200 people a month to come, most of them from out of town. We've had visitors from every state in the United States, 14 or 15 foreign countries. That's been down a little bit since COVID, but we have had lots of great visitors, and this community, they're discovering us. We just want them to come, enjoy, and go away, and come back again and again. So thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. Commissioners, will now lead into the consent agenda. Items under this action were discussed at the public work session on Thursday, August the 30th, Items under this discussion were discussed at the public work session on Thursday, September 1st, now available for view on our carrollcountyga.com website, and will be presented for the consideration as a single item. Only one vote will be taken. So 9.1 is the clerk appointment of Linda Bingham. 9.2, the architect selection of court facilities for Jericho Design Group. 9.3, tax collection software by Vicki Baird, our tax commissioner. 9.4 is patrol vehicles for the sheriff's office. 9.5 is Tanner Street parking deck security cameras. 9.6, fire rescue equipment purchase. 9.7, the state ARPA grant drinking water project. 9.8, GOSP grant for trail to Hobbs to Little Tallapoosa Park. 9.9, solid waste agreement with Waste Industries. And number 10, solid waste agreement with ETC of Georgia LLC. I'll accept a motion in a second, please.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Motion passes 7-0.
Great. At this time, we'll move into the business session. 11.1 is the City of Villa Rica Tax Allocation District, and it's a consideration of an intergovernmental agreement between Carroll County and the City of Villa Rica relating to the East Side Tax Allocation District, and I will turn the session over to District Commissioner Clint Chance.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Commissioners, you have a packet that you all received Thursday at our work session that had some of the past approvals that we have sent from this board, including some of those that have been sent back from the City of Villa Rica, including their most recent revision that they sent to us. You also have at your station a revisement that we are proposing this evening with some of those additional changes. And I'd like to go over a few of those. I'm not going to go over all of them, but go over the ones that I believe have the most significance in addressing. Item 5.1.1, the county is proposing the participation in the TAD shall be limited to a 30-year period or the final payment on the covered bonds, whichever comes earlier. The City of Villa Rica was proposing to us in their language, and you have that in your red line version, and I will be speaking in layman's terms to shorten some of this, give some brevity to it. But essentially that they wanted to agree that we would have language amenable to the final payment. It's the recommendation in working with some other staff and our professional team, also with the chairman and some of you as well that I've obviously been speaking with throughout this process, that we would have the language that I just went over, also limiting that to a year amount. The state allows IGAs and intergovernmental agreements to be moved up to 50 years. It is our understanding in working with our TAD experts, though, that when you're looking at the issuance of bonds on something that has to be repaid, that we, even though the county's not on the hook for the repayment, it would be a private, sold out in the private sector. The reality is we believe that the 30-year period is the maximum amount of time frame that we would be agreeable to or amenable to working with inside of the 50-year IGA contract that could go up to 50 years. I'm not trying to confuse everyone by talking a lot, but I'm trying to make some reference to not only what the board feels like that we would like to do, but in addition what we believe the law states with regards to TADs. So we believe that we could not have an open-ended agreement. It would need to stop at the 30-year period. Item 5.10.1, we are proposing, unless otherwise agreed to in writing by the county, in the event that the TAD recognizes any excess increment as defined in the document,
with respect to a tax year, the portion of excess increment attributed to the county's share of ad valorem property taxes in the TAD shall, within 90 days after the end of such calendar year, be paid back to the county. The city, in their negotiations back with us, wanted to leave that if there was any excess in each calendar year, that would automatically go back to repay the bonds. We believe that adding the language, unless otherwise agreed to in writing by the county, that would give us the opportunity if we wanted to do such, but at such time, we're not willing to agree on the front end to have that specifically stated in writing. Item 6.1, we are proposing the city agrees to issue covered bonds in an amount sufficient to provide funds for the payment to the county upon the first issuance of covered bonds, an aggregate amount of $6 million for the construction, install, and equip of a new fire station site at its own discretion. The city shall transfer ownership of land to the county free of charge by limited warranty deed. The site, the fire station, and all improvements and equipment notated thereto shall be owned by the county. The county will make all reasonable efforts to construct, equip, staff, and ultimately retain a certificate of occupancy allowing for public service operations as soon as feasibly possible after the collection of monies from the issuance of covered bonds. There was some language in the negotiation from the city back to the county that they would like to see X amount of firemen, they would like to see X amount of equipment staffed in the particular station. The county's position in trying to work with our department heads are we have no other stations in the county where we are limited to exactly how many staff members or how many vehicles have to be in there. As you know, we rotate equipment quite often, especially when something is phasing out. When it's an older piece of equipment, we're trying to phase in new. So if we agree to this, it would almost be essentially that those two pieces of equipment would just sit there forever as long as the bond was carried through until payment, and that might not even be sufficient for the city of Villa Rica or the residents there. So we don't believe that we need to tie down, if you will, or handcuff our fire chief and the department to have such particulars. For instance, the agreement that we have with the city of Carrollton in some areas that they currently provide in our unincorporated areas that they can do for us cheaper than we could do for ourselves, we essentially have an agreement that states they will adequately provide fire service. We do not have those specifics with the city of Carrollton, so we feel like that is an agreement that has worked well in trying to use that in comparison. There are some others, obviously, in the document that I'm not going to go over, but there's a few other highlights I would like to point out. In this agreement, we are also adding $500,000 in operating costs that would be paid to Carroll County currently in the SDS, and no other agreements that exist currently. We do not receive any additional monies, if you will, other than what taxpayers are paying, obviously, in their county portion. The city currently does pay an amount to the city of Douglasville for Douglas County for the Douglas County side of the city of Villa Rica for fire services provided. Currently, Carroll County does not charge, and that is not in the SDS. So we believe that this is an appropriate time to add in some operational costs to help pay for the new facility and having that up and running. You also see, to reiterate, the portion about the no annexation without approval from the county. I've heard mixed opinions on this, and I want to clarify exactly what this says. This does not say that the city could not annex any additional properties in, period. It simply says that if they wanted to annex in property past the southernmost current piece of property that they own, that is currently zoned inside of the city of Villa Rica, which is known as the Morris Shackelford piece of property, if they tried to annex in anything south past that furthestmost portion, they would need to bring that to the county for us to approve. Furthermore, we have identified a couple of roads such as Ithaca Gin and South Van Wert. If those roads were impacted by any additional annexation north of that southernmost piece or anything that came about that would impact those roadways, we were asking that developers or the city of Villa Rica would incur those costs to upgrade, whether it was resurfacing or whether it was adding a shoulder or whatever improvements might be needed to make those roadways safe. So again, I want to point out this is one way that the county can help in our own way try to make sure that we are holding the city accountable to their ability not just to go completely wild with annexation that we really don't have any teeth to control. The other side of this is not completely stopping the city of Villa Rica from annexing. It is simply asking the county to give their blessing to make sure that roadways, services, and so forth can be kept up as they try to annex further south. Some quality components, in my opinion, of this TAD are the retail components. The example I've used before is the Publix in Mirror Lake. 95% of Mirror Lake is on the Douglas County side of the city of Villa Rica. Everyone that is shopping in Publix, Douglas County, is getting that sales tax. It is proposed to have a new grocery store as one of the retail components, along with some other nice restaurants. On the Carroll County side, if we just received 30 or 40% of those constituents that are currently shopping at the Publix, that would bring in a lot of sales tax revenue on the Carroll County side. So while I don't necessarily like everything that's going to be built within the TAD, and I don't think anyone ever likes anything holistically in agreement, I do feel like that the retail components and some of the positives definitely outweigh the negatives. I want to also talk about that the city, in my opinion, is going to do something in this area, whether we're involved with it or not. And so you can sit and say, well, Commissioner, why would we just not turn this down and allow them to do what they want to do, and then we'll receive all that property tax? Well, the reality is there's going to come a point in time when those services are going to be impacted drastically on the front end that we're not going to have all the money coming in at once. If we are able to move forward with this agreement, the fire is obviously, we believe, going to be the most impacted, and we're going to front that money to the county. So I think that puts the county in a better position to deal with the growth that is going to come within the city limits, regardless of the TAD or not. The other component I want to bring about is, while the TAD is very important, everyone is only eyeing the TAD. And I say everyone, a lot of the feedback I have received is only eyeing the growth within the TAD. There have been hundreds of homes, there have been apartments, there have been townhomes, there have been other retail things that have already been approved that can come to fruition if they just start building up out of the ground outside of this TAD. So the reality is the TAD is not going to have a massive of an impact as things that have already been approved. So I think to put blinders on and say, well, if we don't approve the TAD, we're just going to be able to control all the growth in Villa Rica, that is simply not the case. Villa Rica is going to continue to grow. It has already had a lot of approvals for growth that's going to start happening. Some have already started happening. So to me, the TAD allows us, again, to try to get ahead of the curve on funding some of the services. I do believe some of the material items that are in this agreement, I believe we've reached an impasse. I believe the county has negotiated as best we can, and I believe the city has negotiated as best they can. So I do believe, sending this back this evening, I believe we're at impasse on a lot of these items. That is either a take item or it is not. I don't know that there is much room left to negotiate, in my opinion, on many of the items. My philosophy has been to bring this before the board and do the best I can. I've been asked 1,000 times, am I for the TAD or am I against the TAD? I've tried to be consistent as I can. The mayor and the city council is the first point of elected body for the citizens of Villa Rica. They unanimously voted that they would like to create a TAD and move that forward. They have asked ourselves and they have asked the school board system to be a part of that. I do not feel like it is incumbent upon the shoulders of the county to single-handedly say yes or no about the TAD, but it is incumbent upon us to take what they have sent us and try to do the very best level job that we can in representing the county, representing the citizens, that also includes the citizens in the city of Villa Rica. And I know that I have tried my very level best to stay that course and not get caught up in the simplistic answer, am I for or against the TAD? In closing, I would like to thank our legal team, the TAD legal team that we hired of professionals. The county has taken that on. If the agreement moved forward, we would be reimbursed up to $25,000, assuming their bill would even be that much. Currently, the county has taken that on in good faith. The city is not reimbursing us a dime at this moment, and I think, and I've said this before and will say it again, I think that shows good faith on behalf of Carroll County that we have been serious about this agreement, and we've tried to bring in professionals that deal with these type of agreements on a daily basis to make sure we have the very best team we could helping us negotiate this. I would also like to thank the county's legal team. I'd like to thank Chairman Morgan, who's worked diligently along my side in trying to work through this. And I'd also like to thank the staff, and lastly, the Board of Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners, we all have different representation, we have different ideas, we have different philosophies, and I consider everyone on this board a professional friend. I know some of you are not for this, and that is fine. I'm going to sleep fine tonight, and I know you will too, but I think we all have a job to do. But even in understanding that some of the commissioners were not necessarily in favor of this, I have tried to listen to your concerns and incorporate as best I could in the document, and working with the chairman and the staff, the legal team, and the professionals, some of your concerns that even if you were not in favor holistically of what was taking place with the TAD, that you understood I was trying to respect your position and make sure that I did everything that we could to try to protect the county and try to move forward responsibly in knowing that the city of Villa Rica will continue to grow. And with that, Madam Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement relating to the East Side Tax Allocation District that is consistent with the county's version of changes from the last version approved by the city of Villa Rica, with the understanding this agreement is non-binding until such time, if applicable, our legal counsel brings a finalized version with all amenable materials, such as, but not limited to, a satisfactory agreement between the Carroll County School System and the City of Villa Rica relating to the TAD, the final redevelopment plans by the City of Villa Rica, and any and all other pertinent materials.
Do I have a second?
Is there time for any more comments?
I need a second first, please.
Okay.
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. At this time, is there any discussion?
I'd like to just bring out some points for hopefully consideration. And I do, Commissioner Chance, appreciate sincerely all the effort that you've put into this. I mean, it is remarkable, and I know you have toiled and toiled about this, and I empathize with you. I just want to go back to a few things, and I guess it boils down to this, that I've told my children all along, any decision you have to consider the cost versus the benefit. And that's true with any decision in life, and as long as the benefit outweighs the cost, then you can hopefully move forward and you'll be okay. But if the cost outweighs the benefit, change your decision. One thing that it seems like we're doing here is indicating that Villa Rica is one of our municipalities is going to forge ahead and do what they want to do regardless if we have an agreement or not an agreement. So we better scramble and hurry up and bend to their beck and call. And to me, that sounds like the tail's wagging the dog. And I just don't like being the tail, especially being the county seat and the I guess my opinion is we're supposed to be the dog regardless of what Villa Rica wants to do. And I would like us to consider sincerely the cost of this, because in my opinion, this decision decides the future fate of Carroll County and where we are headed, and if we are headed toward becoming eventually an urban county, part of the urban sprawl that's happened in Paulding and Cobb and so on, or not. Are we wanting to continue to be the last bastion of rural tranquility, or do we want just to open the floodgates to the I-20 residential corridor and become a bedroom community with a little bit of retail shops scattered here and there, and funnel our revenues toward that. So I have a few points about the cost side. One is the total cost to the county. Do we know the lost property tax revenue to the county over 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever? Do we know the total cost of required infrastructure, including the fire, sheriff, increased crime, EMS and ambulance, roads? We just heard about animal control. Even now, 40% of the calls come from the Villa Rica area, not to mention schools and the tremendous increase of 15,000 or more residents that will come to Villa Rica. What about the impact to our bond rating and the cost of borrowing? Secondly, timing costs, like the song says, you picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille. 4 hungry children and a crop in the field. I think we could change the words a little bit and say you picked a fine time to do this TAD, Villa Rica. Interest rates are going up and inflation and everything. The economy is going down. Construction is going down and interest rates are going up. There's been approximately a 26% decrease in home sales between July 21 and now. So over a 1 year period, a 26% decline in home sales in the Atlanta metro area. There's been a 16% decrease in home sales just in 1 month from June 22 to July 22. And as of July 22, there was a 34% increase in the total housing market inventory compared to 1 year ago. That means less and less people are buying. Mortgage rates have nearly doubled from just over 3% to now nearly 6%. And Freddie Mac published that the market slowdown will continue now well into 2023 and beyond. So from a timing cost standpoint, I mean, Villa Rica going ahead with this TAD and leaving us as holding the bucket. I mean, what if things do turn south and now we have those types of things to consider? So, hey, we don't know total costs. Nobody's come up with that. I haven't heard a word about. I mean, so what if they agree to a few million for fire coverage? What about all the other stuff? What about our bond ratings? What about all these other things? We don't have a clue as to how much it will actually cost us tangibly, much less intangibly. And I say intangibly loosely. We'll feel it throughout our community. The increased crime as we open up that corridor to more and more of the metro area. So thirdly, there's been a local government standard, a fundamental fact, that residential development costs local government. In other words, residential development absorbs county taxpayer revenue, and you don't get a return on investment for the county. But industry brings a return on investment. There is no industry in this TAD at all. Yeah, there's a grocery store and a few retail shops, but there's a bunch. We don't know the exact figures because Villa Rica keeps changing it on us, but there's a bunch of rental and housing ownership projects in this, and residential development alone soaks up county revenue because you need a lot of infrastructure to service that type of development. They're right on the I-20 corridor. The Villa Rica TAD is wide open, and they could have gotten meaningful industry to participate, but there's not one industry mentioned in all these months and months and months and years of them planning this development. All it is a soak up of revenue, taking it away from other districts and funneling it into Villa Rica. A great portion of those residents are renters who are transient and typically with little to no investment in the community. We don't know how many rental units. Sometimes they say 4,000 plus renters, sometimes they say 1,800, so whatever Villa Rica decides, they can throw out another number if that's possible, I'm sure it is. But there's no contractual agreement holding them. The point is, there is a cost to especially the rental side. And I'm all for affordable housing, but is it affordable housing that we're building for our own Carroll County residents? Or is it affordable housing that we're opening up the floodgates from Douglas and Cobb and Paulding and all along the I-20 corridor? Are we building affordable housing for those residents that want to get out of those areas? Do we want to grow into an urban county? I think that's the question we have to answer. Do you want your kids and grandkids to go to schools and have the ambiance of Douglas County or not? A lot of people are selling out in Douglas County. I get calls all the time, probably 1 or 2 a week. Hey, Commissioner, I'm just moving to Old Five Notch Road, getting out of Douglas County. Glad to meet you sometime. So, I mean, people are moving out of Douglas County, and I can't blame them. I'd like to point out that through a discussion with our tax assessor's office today, the Douglas County maintenance and operation millage rate for 2021, which is the most recent millage and operation data available on the website at least, the Douglas County maintenance and operation millage rate is 12.563 in 2021, and I'm sure it's higher now, versus what Carroll County's maintenance and operation millage rate was 7.639 in 2021. So if you look at it as far as property taxes, this converts to greatly higher county taxes for our residents. On a $350,000 piece of property in Carroll County, you would pay $1,069 in property taxes at that 7.639 millage rate. In Douglas County, however, you would pay $1,759 in taxes. That's nearly a $700 increase, or 65% more in Douglas County. So, I mean, let's welcome in urban sprawl. Let's build as many rental units as Villa Rica wants. Let's not have any industry accompany that. Let's give them all the money they want. Let's say, hey, we have a fantastic agreement here, and we'll be totally fine with it if you throw us a little pittance of money for our fire services, and we don't care anything beyond that. And not to talk about the next point of the lifestyle and tranquility. I mean, what has come out of the I-20 corridor into our county that we may not want to exacerbate. I can think of the robbery and killing at Mobley's jewelry store. I can think of another more recent killing of sheriff deputies and shooting them there near the Bay Springs School. All that comes our way the more we open up things to the urban areas, and if we become that, that's what we get. I've gotten no calls from residents in my district at all pleading me to vote in favor of the TAD. In fact, I have gotten emails and calls, and folks, a lot of them say they will contact other commissioners and so on, pleading us to vote no and not allow the Villa Rica development. So it seems to me like people are fleeing Douglas County. They don't feel safe at Arbor Place Mall, and they're trying to get away from the urban sprawl and these effects. So why are we encouraging us to become the same thing that other people are fleeing? Why not continue to be a safe and tranquil haven with low millage rate? Villa Rica contends that it will have a halo effect. I say it's a doomsday effect. It will be a bleed on our county taxpayers' financial resources, and it'll bring only the potential of more bloodshed as we open the floodgates to urban sprawl. I hope we can think big, beyond the agreement and beyond today. I hope it will impact how our children and grandchildren's lives can be spent. We represent a respite of safety and tranquility and low millage rates, and we shouldn't vote to destroy that. There's no benefit to Carroll County from the Villa Rica TAD, only the costs. And I have yet to get a response from Mayor McDougal on my point that if he's so determined that this Villa Rica TAD will not cost Carroll County anything, then sign an agreement, not 8 pages of stuff that we might scramble to put together in an effort for the tail to wag the dog, but sign an agreement that says, if you can stand there and tell me that we will not have any cost from this development, then you sign an agreement that simply says, if there happens to be a cost to Carroll County from this Villa Rica TAD, Villa Rica will cover it. I'm for a 1-paragraph agreement to that effect. And I'd also like to see him put a little effort into bringing industry into the county where we can benefit, instead of what this is proposing, that'll just be a financial drain on our resources. That's all.
Commissioner, not to rebut your points, they're very well taken and respect your opinion, but I did want to speak on a couple of points that you brought up in general gist and topics, just for clarification. The first point I want to make is we will continue to receive the current property tax base that we're currently receiving now. So whatever the county is receiving, we will lock that threshold in and continue to receive that. The incremental increase is what will be given up, obviously, to go to pay for infrastructure. Everyone moving in there, from contractors building to people that are living there, they will have to pay. They're not getting a free ride, if you will, on the property tax portion. That amount is just simply diverted. The increased increments is diverted to help pay for the infrastructure. The other point I want to bring up, which I think is very significant, when we talk about the downturn of the economy that may be coming or different things, I'm not a bond expert, and I certainly cannot speak on the actual bond rating, but there's definitely a differentiation in how these bonds are issued and the liability for Carroll County. So currently, if we have an entity that comes before us, such as a hospital entity or anyone that asks us to back their bonds, we're not only backing their bonds in good faith, but we have the power as an elected body to levy additional taxes should those bonds fail and they're not able to repay them in a certain time period. With the issuance of this particular bond, Carroll County nor the city of Villa Rica, no government entity, if you will, is on the hook for the repayment of the issuance of the bonds. It is sent out to the free market, and whether that's an independently wealthy person or it's a large corporation that is willing to buy up the bonds for those particular terms, they and they alone are on the hook for the repayment of those bonds. So I cannot speak intelligently about the actual bond rating, but what I can tell you is us agreeing to the terms in this agreement does not tie us financially to the issuance of the bonds like it does with other entities that come before us and ask us to back them. I say that with all due respect, just to simply differentiate the differences. Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments for Commissioner Chance, myself, or the attorneys? Well, seeing and hearing none, we have a motion and a second to approve this particular IGA draft, or do you want to say final last offer?
I did discuss with legal counsel, and if there was a period left out that needed to be a period, that could be a conflict. I think I've made it very clear in my comments that we have reached an impasse, I believe, in most of the pertinent details, so I think the city of Villa Rica would need to understand that this is essentially our final offer that we're sending back for negotiations, but I did leave that terminology out of the actual motion, simply at legal counsel's advice when I posed the question.
This also has to be agreed upon by the school board.
Correct. It's in our in the IGA, we do have that the county school board has to agree to it also. I have a motion, a second. Are there any further questions or discussions? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed?
Motion passes 4-3.
Great. Thank you. At this time, we're going to enter into executive session to discuss real estate litigation, some other lawful matters. This board will not take any action when we return, so therefore we will be turning off the recording, and thank you for attending. Oh, I need a motion and a second, please.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All those in favor?